We're really stoked to have Rick Griffin in the studio tonight, along with Randy Nauert. I think Rick might have even coined the phrase "stoked." He came up with a lot of great words that surfers use today, and he was instrumental in a real development at Surfer magazine of cartoon comic strips called Murphys. Actually not Murphy's, Murphy. And you know, anybody that's been into surfing, of course, has followed the adventures of Murphy. And of course, all the great surfing movies of the 70s, probably the most famous surfing movie of all time, Five Summer Stories. The posters that you saw on all those telegraph poles, well, Rick Griffin did them. Welcome to the show, Rick.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
Rick, I've talked to Randy a little bit, but how did you come to get into surfing art in the very first place? What made you think of something like Murphy?
Well, Murphy was based on a character that appeared in the early sagas of the Irish seafarers. And he was the son of a mermaid, and Murphy actually means sea king.
And you know, how did you come to get it into Surfer magazine the very first time? I remember it was on the cover, and that's going back quite some time, but did Surfer come to you and ask, or were you just drawing these things and all of a sudden someone discovered you one day?
Well, I had these adventures mapped out in my high school notebook, and John Severson was showing Surf Fever at our high school, and Randy here took the work in and showed it to John, and then he brought me down and introduced me, and that's how it got started.
And from that you got into surf movie posters, and of course you did some fantastic other things. You did the original concept for Rolling Stone, one of the most famous magazines on the newsstands today.
Well, that's right. I did their original logo.
Is it exciting to create a cartoon character based upon surfing?
It's tremendously exciting, tremendous.
And where did those names like, you know, Cowabunga and Stoked and things, that the terms that Murphy used all the way through, where did you come up with such things?
Well, Cowabunga was coined from the Howdy Doody show. That was what Buffalo Bob used to say when he used to get excited.
Well, see, that's before my time, because coming from Australia, we never had TV sets in those days.
Well, that was one of the first shows on TV.
So, Randy, how did you get to know Rick? I mean, how did you first meet up with him?
Well, it was about 1957, and I grew up in Palos Verdes, and we used to surf Haggerty's and Bluff Cove, and there were no high schools or junior highs up there, so they bussed us down into sort of the flatlands, and you know, all the different groups of people would hang out at Nutrition, and there was this one fellow with like long khaki pants and French-toed shoes and metal flake shirts, and he had his hair was real slick.
I was a greaser, a hoedown.
I mean, but he was like one of the best looking greasers. I'd never seen anything, and I got to know him a little bit, and I said to him one day, I said, hey Rick, will you teach me how to shine shoes like that? Because it was like a secret thing for part of the image, and nobody in PV knew how to do that. And he looked at me and he said, well, what do you do for me? And I thought, and I got, well, what can I do? So I said, well, I'll teach you how to surf. And he said,
well, that was a good trade, wasn't it?
So did you teach him how to ride a motorcycle and grease his hair back?
That's right.
Was sniffing gasoline.
So what are you doing today? You know, I mean, a lot of the stuff that relates to surfing, particularly the surf movie posters, you know, surf movies aren't as big a thing today as they were then, although you just did Blazing Boards. What other things are you doing today?
Well, I got a grass shack on a little island in the Pacific. I got perfect waves rolling through my backyard, and I got it all to myself. I'll have to have you over.
When can I come?
Soon.
That'd be great. And what other art projects do you have besides? Looks like a lot of relaxation.
Well, let's see. I'm working on an album cover for Quicksilver Messenger Service.
Fantastic. And what other albums have you worked on through the years?
Oh, there's too numerous to even mention.
This is a book that was published in the 80s of a lot of your
back in 1980.
Work. We've taken a few shots out of here and some of the stuff, but this is quite a fat book. It seems like how long does it take you to say create a Murphy 2-page comic strip?
Well, I actually used to put it off until the last minute. If it was due on Monday morning, I'd start it Sunday night.
No homework that night.
I was too busy surfing. I'm too busy surfing to do much artwork, really.
And most of the work that you've done is all just freehand, or you use it? I've noticed that you used airbrush quite a bit too.
And a lot of it's done with mirrors.
You're trying to fake us all out. So what's in the future for Rick Griffin? What's he gonna surprise us with in the 80s going into the 90s?
Well, we'll see. We'll see. In the meantime, I'll just stick with my ways.
Well, thanks for coming on the show, Rick. We're
You're
really
welcome.
happy to have you. And Randy, thanks for getting Rick in here.
It was
You
hard
guys
to-
go back a long way, eh?
Well, 57 to 86. Well, how many years is that? We never finished school.
You still
so-
managed to get out there and catch a few? Does he still get out there and drag you out there and catch a few?
Randy?
Uh-huh.
Oh, yeah.
We have a good time.
And then you still get into Greasy's hair every now and again and play Hodad too?
Sometimes.
Okay, thanks for
It was a
coming.
great period in time.
Thanks for coming on the show, guys.
Thanks for having
You're welcome.
us.
Thanks a lot.
Well, I wish you a lot of luck with getting Tom Cohn and OP some great exposure
I'm going
this
to
year.
give it a
'cause,
try. Thank you.
All right, thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks.
You know, while we've been talking to Kim and to Dennis Jarvis, Rick Griffin's been out there in the hallway drawing a Wave Watch cartoon of Murphy, and Libby, who came here tonight with Rick, has got this shirt on. It looks fantastic. If you could come on, Libby, we'll show everybody out there. I can't believe that he did this out in the corridor. Look, there's Murphy, and we've got Wave Watch, and that's truly amazing. Who's got dibs on this? Anyway, that's been another episode of Wave Watch. We're glad we could join you. We had some great guests tonight, and we'll be back with another great show next week.